Welcome to episode 8 of the Wild World podcast. I'm your host Thomas from the Wild World YouTube channel, and joining me is my co-host Mika.
Happy end of summer.
Okay. On this podcast we talk about wildlife, paleontology, and cryptozoology. But first, let's talk about what's been on our wildlife radar since the last episode. Would you like to go first?
So I've been seeing lots of wildlife. I saw some chipmunks, some squirrels and ground squirrels. I finally saw some pikas, because previously people were saying that things were pikas when they weren't, but I did see some. I saw elk, I saw a fox, and mostly what I've seen isn't live animals, it's animal sign. So I've been seeing bear poop and moose poop, and so when I was in this place with all that poop, I could feel the animals watching me. Like, it was so fresh, I knew they were nearby.
Were you scared?
No, I wanted to see them.
Yeah.
And at that time, so my family and I, and family friends, we were all looking for something in the woods, off the trail.
What were you looking for?
We were looking for a graveyard that has been lost to time. So we all split up, and there was like no visibility.
Lost to time? So does anyone know where it is? Is it like on...
Well, it's supposed to be on the map, but we couldn't find it based on the coordinates. So we all split up, and we couldn't see each other because there were all these downed trees and standing trees. And I kept wandering off looking for it. And then I turned around and I realized I couldn't see or hear anyone. So I was really hoping I would see an animal. But
this does sound scary. Did you find the graveyard?
No.
I'm sorry.
And on another hike, I encountered the dismembered and scattered skeleton of a cervid. A large cervid.
Had it died naturally, or was it like predated, or what was going on?
We think it was eaten. We found like its vertebrae some places, its leg bones other places. The only thing we couldn't find was a skull.
Wow. Did you think you were next?
No. Like I said, I wasn't scared.
Oh, I bet you were terrified.
I wasn't.
Okay. I haven't seen too many things. I went snorkeling today in the lake.
You did?
And I tried very hard to find fish, but I couldn't find any. I was even like scooping up rocks underwater and everything. I went swimming in the reeds. Couldn't see anything under there.
Well, maybe you were splashing around too much, because you can see them even if you're not in the water.
I don't know. Maybe, but at sometimes I was like standing still and just looking around as well.
Did you take your dog?
Yep.
Was he upset?
He was very upset, yeah.
Wow.
This is the closest he got to drowning me. So as you know, and as some longtime viewers will know, when my dog goes swimming and anyone else goes swimming with him, he panics and I guess he tries to rescue them, but the way he rescues you is by pushing you under the water with his paws and barking at you. So I was at a part where my feet couldn't touch the ground, and I don't know, he just came up on me really quick and started pushing me under, and I thought...
Yeah, you could have died.
I don't know, it's a bit dicey.
Was he really upset? Was he whining and crying?
Yeah, that murderer. Yeah, but we've started to try and train him to be a bit better.
So it wasn't just you and him, it was other people to help, or?
Yeah, my brother was also there, and he tried to hold him on the shore when I would swim back and forth a few times to get him to calm down.
Did it work?
Not really. Maybe you have to do it a few times.
Poor baby.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll learn.
Has he been having nightmares because he's thinking about all the swimming and stuff?
Maybe. He might have a lot of nightmares tonight. Who knows?
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we could just move into the news then, if
okay.
That's okay with you. You got some pretty interesting stories this week. Do you want to go first?
Sure. So one story is about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So do you know what that is?
Was it something crazy, 100 kilometers or something of just garbage that is all accumulated in the Pacific Ocean?
Yeah, so the currents collect all the plastic that's floating in the water in this one big patch, which is a problem. And so people have been saying we should clean it up. And I was always saying we should clean it up. Why aren't we doing anything about this big problem? And then it turns out, not only is it a big logistical thing, but also it could threaten some species if we clean it up the way we've been thinking.
And what species are those?
Well, so the major way to do it is cleaning with surface skimming. And there are other creatures that live on the surface, just like the plastic does. So there are types of jellyfish and snails, including blue button jellies, which are about 3 centimeters wide, by the wind sailors, which are up to 10 centimeters long, and they have sails that help them drift in the wind, and violet snails, which float with bubbles and live in golf ball sized shells. So the jellies and the by the wind sailors eat plankton, and the violet snails eat them. So if they are used to really calm water and just floating around with nothing disturbing them. And if we were to go and skim for the plastic, we would catch them.
Right.
And even if we didn't catch them, they might die from being disturbed. So the question is, what should we do? Like, if we do nothing, it's really bad for the environment. But if we kill them, that's also bad.
We should get billions of those caterpillars that like eating plastic and just dump them onto the patch.
I think that has been a idea pushed around by lots of like entrepreneurs and like change makers for a while, is to genetically engineer some sort of bacteria that will break down the plastic. So that might be better than skimming.
Yeah, and I guess in the article, the interesting point was, I can't remember the name of the scientist, but he was saying the biggest thing to help is just to stop it happening in the first place, I guess.
So don't use plastic all the time. But it's so hard because like sometimes I think about something and the best material for it is plastic. Like
covering food, would that be one?
Yeah, like food storage, all that kind of stuff.
I wonder what kind of plastic it is. Like, what is it coming from?
It's all microplastics, usually.
Wow.
But it's not just I mean, there are bigger plastic pieces as well. There's almost anything you could want.
Anything your heart desires.
You can find it in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
Right. Okay. We move on to another story?
Sure.
I guess I'll just go with this one quickly because it's not that much of a story and it's not really that new either. But
that's what I was thinking. I was like, how is this news?
It's also not very interesting or worth mentioning. No, but so I didn't say this on the wildlife radar, but for the next video I'll be making on the main channel will involve the green anaconda. So I've been reading and watching and listening to a lot of things about them. And I thought this was a bit interesting and a bit surprising that in Florida, you always hear about like Burmese pythons being an invasive species and being a big problem, but also green anaconda are a problem in Florida as well. So that's interesting. Probably got there the same way the pythons did, by people just releasing them into the wild. It's now illegal to have pet anacondas in Florida, or at least pet green anacondas. I don't know about the smaller ones. But there is an interesting initiative, which I thought was a pretty good idea from I think it's called, what's the organization? Fish and Wildlife. It's like a no questions asked policy, where if you have an exotic pet that you want to get rid of, they'll take it off you, even if you didn't attain it legally, just to try and discourage people from releasing them into the Everglades or into the wild. So PSA for anyone who's listening, if you have a dodgy exotic pet that you need to get rid of, please don't throw it into the swamp. Just call your local Fish and Wildlife Service and they'll take it away. Cool. And then, I don't know why you're laughing. I think that's...
Because it really isn't news. It's not even a news article. It's just like a government information sheet, but that's fine.
Well, sorry.
I thought everyone knew that there were a bunch of snakes in Florida. That shouldn't be there.
I didn't know specifically that the green anaconda was there, though.
I guess for me it doesn't make a difference. They're all big snakes.
Okay. They're all big. And you claim to love snakes, though.
I do like them, but...
Oh, they're all just the same.
I mean, what difference?
Anyway, maybe we'll just move on. Keeping with the theme of being scared, your next story is a bit spooky.
Yeah, so this is a study done about crocodiles.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, whether they can tell, like, basically how they do their hunting. So crocodiles can tell when a primate baby is in a lot of distress, and they are attracted to that sound. And it's not just they're attracted to any loud sound of another species that they could eat. It's specifically they realize when it's distress. So babies can cry because they're hungry, and then babies can cry because they've like been abandoned by their mother, you know? And they can tell when it's the second one. They can tell when the baby is actually in danger.
And didn't it say that they were better at identifying the stress than a human was?
Yes, they are. Humans just hear it and they go, well, maybe not with human babies, but when humans are identifying other primate cries, they tend to misidentify it. So they'll think that, like, just because a cry is really high-pitched, that it means that the baby primate is upset, when it could just mean it's playing or something. And then They won't recognize the characteristics of a distress call, which are like erratic rhythms and stuff like that. So yeah, crocodiles are much better at that than humans are.
Yeah.
So,
And these were specifically Nile crocodiles in the study, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very scary, I guess. Like they're actively hunting for baby primates. And another thing that isn't as scary maybe is it shows that very distantly related species can communicate emotions to each other, which is good news. Like if you ever wonder if your dog knows you're upset or something like that.
Right. It's scary, but it sort of makes sense as well, I guess, if you think about it. Because like these crocodiles, I mean, even today, they still target humans a lot and other primates. So if they've been with humans for thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, it makes sense that they'd have developed this, I feel like.
Yeah, and remember, it's not just humans, it's all primates. The test was done with all primates.
Right.
So watch out. If your baby is crying a lot and is in distress, do not attempt a river crossing with crocodiles.
Okay. Or maybe just don't attempt it at all.
Yeah, but sometimes...
Unless you're in a big boat, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we go to the final story. Somehow I lost my notes for this, but I have it pulled back up now. Speaking of invasive species, this actually is news, but it's not very surprising. Invasive species are lead driver of biodiversity loss in Australia, and the main culprit seems to be feral cats that have the biggest impact.
See, I didn't think that was news because I thought we already knew that.
Yeah, but did we know that cats were the biggest culprits? There wasn't like a lot of people would talk about rabbits and other things.
Well, they said cats are a big culprit, right? Oh, okay. I guess you could have surmised it. I don't know.
What do you mean?
It just doesn't shock me at all, so it doesn't feel like news to me.
Okay, let's not even talk about it at all. Then.
No, we can talk about it.
I guess I don't know what to say. Yeah, I guess because we have said many times about the whole thing with feral cats and not letting your cat outside, right? I guess this is just more data backing up that claim.
I do find it interesting that feral cats are supposed to be like so good at hunting because my cat was awful. He could not have survived in the wild at all.
Did he go outside?
He was indoors, but he escaped all the time.
Oh, he never killed anything, no?
I guess he was okay at catching flies. He loved to catch flies. But he was just so stupid. Like, I don't know. I can't see him actually capturing anything that was bigger than a fly.
We used to have a small cat and she hunted a lot of things.
Well, I guess I don't know what he got up to when he escaped. Maybe he ate like 50 birds every time. Who knows?
Right.
It's
sad. Yeah, so I don't know really what else to say.
Well, they did say they're not trying to like get rid of all of them. It's better just to try to manage it if they're already there. So all they can do is try to prevent new animals from coming in, which is just so defeatist and it makes me sad. Like, I don't know. I always thought when I was little, the best thing you could do was just get rid of all the animals, but like, obviously that's really difficult and maybe not ethical or something. I just mean animal rights people might have a problem with that.
It's sad, and again, maybe if you have a cat, keep it indoors.
But, you know, Australia does have some of the strictest rules for bringing your pets in. So, and I guess, I mean, people who are upset about that should realize this is why.
Yeah, but what if you bring in like a neutered dog or something?
Yeah, I know. That's also, but there are parasites as well and stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But I think everyone in Australia should go out and adopt a cat from a shelter right now. I don't know if that would help. But...
it would help the cats in the shelters.
Yeah, and then they could fill the shelters with more cats, and then before you know it, no more cats in the wild.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So someone tell the Prime Minister of Australia. Whose
name is Albanese, I think. I was so confused by the article because it was talking about the Albanese something or other, and I was like Albanian? Why are they suddenly talking about Albania right now? That's his name.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry that I didn't have any news stories this week. Let's move on to the next section.
News can sometimes still be news, even though news has new in it.
Sure, but you said that both of my topics weren't news.
Not news to me.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I guess you just know so many things. Will we go into Wild Chat?
Sure. So it was my idea for Wild Chat today. I hope you like it. My question is very fun, lighthearted. What animal best fits your personal style? And what do you think are the most stylish animals in general?
Right. So these are very separate questions in my mind because I don't think
agree.
I'm like the most stylish animal. I was sort of struggling with this, and maybe you can comment, but I was thinking maybe my personal style would sort of be like a field mouse, like a bit scruffy and.
No, but you wear a lot of blue. I think your personal style is a bit like a whale or like some sort of sea animal because you wear lots of grayish blues.
I also accidentally wore a tail.
Yeah. So you should explain that because now they're gonna think.
Okay, it wasn't actually a tail. It was if you've ever had a pair of pants.
No, they haven't.
That have those. I guess usually sweatpants and pants of that sort. They have like those two strings at the front. Well, it's actually one string coming out at two different areas.
It's called a drawstring.
And you can use that to tighten your pants. I don't know what happened with mine. I guess I got a dodgy pair or something, but the string was just like stretched out really long and was for some reason coming out the back of the pants, and I didn't realize. So I was just walking around with this really long string hanging out the back of me like a tail.
Yeah, he looked like a mouse.
Yeah, see? And also I think the shirt I was wearing that day had a hole in it and I didn't realize as well. And I wasn't just sitting at home either. We were going somewhere.
I know.
Yeah, so sort of a scrappy, rough, dirty, disheveled style.
That's not your style. That's not you actively choosing like how you want to present yourself. That's just an accident when you look like a mouse.
Yeah.
I would say the clothes you actually like are more like a sea animal.
Okay, that's nice. Well, what about you? What animal best fits your personal style?
So, I would say foxes are some of the most stylish animals, and I look really good in that color, like fox red. I like Arctic foxes as well. Like sometimes they're pure white, and sometimes they're that smoky black color. It's very stylish, and I mean maybe I don't really dress like that, but it inspires me. I would like to dress like that. I think snakes can be very stylish, and I like the colors that they wear sometimes, like those bright jewel greens and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I wouldn't be able to say my style is one thing all the time.
Yeah.
Because you wear like pretty much always a lot of the same colors. But I have lots of different colors I wear. I pull from different animals, I would say.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we're wearing today, just to see if it matches with what we said. What are you wearing?
I'm actually dressed completely in black. I just realized, black t-shirt.
Just like an orca or something. See, sea animal.
Okay. What colors are you wearing?
I'm wearing a brown shirt, like a beautiful fox, and like printed, like Hawaii print pants. So that's like, I don't know what that is. A snake? No, snakes aren't this light.
Maybe a bird.
Maybe a bird.
Yeah. And you also threw some shade on some animals you think look disgusting.
No, well, we have to move on to what do you think are the most stylish animals, even if you don't dress that way.
Oh, I sort of think spiders can be pretty stylish. The same way you said with snakes, I think they have really interesting patterns on their body, and I like when some of them have like really dark, but then they have really bright patches on them. Like, despite its bad reputation, I think the black widow is a nice looking spider that like almost like a glossy black with the red.
I like that rusty tarantula. That looks nice.
Yeah, tarantulas look nice as well.
What I put down for stylish animals are frogs, such as poison dart frogs. They're very, very stylish, but I would never wear those colors. They would look garish on me. Only frogs can pull them off. Like the black and neon patches, you know.
Are some poison dart frogs kind of orangey though?
Maybe.
You don't have to look it up right now. It's just I was looking at videos of some, and I don't know if I was looking at the wrong kind of frog.
Patches. But there are some that are not as many patches. There's one that's like an orange front and blue legs. Still, it's not really my style.
Oh yeah, I think I was looking at that one.
And another one I wrote is birds. Lots of birds are very stylish.
Yeah, there's so many.
But it's a bit much. Like,
yeah, just calm down a bit.
You know what? You also dress like a crow.
I guess so.
You like black.
Yeah.
But you're not goth enough. If you really wanted to dress like a crow, you'd have to wear like heavy eyeliner and
Yeah, I'm not really into the goth style, I guess.
Let's see. Also, snow leopards and tigers are very beautiful. They're very fashionable, but I wouldn't want to wear like gray with black polka dots or orange with black stripes. That's a bit not for me.
Clouded leopards and ocelots look really nice as well, actually. Though.
Yeah, but again, I don't really like that to wear.
Yeah.
So here are the animals I think aren't stylish. Anything leathery gray, such as a rhino or an elephant or a hippo, they're just not that stylish.
No, I guess not.
Like there's this part in Harry Potter, the first book, where Harry thinks he has to go to this horrible like private school, and or is it the public school? Either way, he has this uniform he has to wear that's all gray, but like his, the people he lives with don't want to buy him new clothes, so they just take a bunch of old rags and then boil them until they turn gray. And he said it was like patches falling off of him and he looked like bits of dried elephant skin.
Wow.
So it makes me think of that, because elephants really just, they're so gray. Like,
yeah, gray isn't that appealing of a color, I guess.
And some birds are sort of ugly too. Like, I can't believe the other birds are out there being all fashionable and then other birds just look like brownish grayish. It's sad. Okay, yeah. What animals do you think aren't very stylish?
I sort of agree with you, I guess. Gray leathery animals aren't the best. What else?
Komodo dragons. Their mouths are filthy. They can't even take care of their hygiene.
What's that to do with style?
Yeah, hygiene is part of style.
Surely some of the other animals you mentioned have filthy mouths.
I know, but just like they don't have anything else going for them either. Like they're just sort of. If they were humans, they would definitely live in their man cave and never come out, and they'd speak only in grunts.
Okay. I guess some insects, like roaches and stuff.
Oh, those are not fashionable at all. You're right.
No.
Gross. But some insects are very fashionable, so it's hard to...
Yeah.
Like butterflies.
Mm-hmm. Some dragonflies have nice colors.
Some grasshoppers are very dapper.
Yeah, they are.
Beetles?
It depends on the beetle.
That's true. Some beetles are boring.
Hmm.
Well, we'd like to hear your opinion on what animals you think are fashionable or not fashionable. So please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Sure.
Will we go to the next section? Okay, so Cryptid Court, this is where we debate the existence of a cryptid, and the way we choose the cryptid is we put a poll up on the main YouTube channel, and there's 3 randomly generated cryptids, and people vote on what cryptid they want us to debate. And this week, in a surprising turn of events, we're going to be debating a lake monster. Whoa. So this is probably the 5th time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is one I've actually heard of before.
Yeah, it might be the Holy Grail, one of the Holy Grails of lake monsters.
Yeah, after, I guess probably Nessie is the most famous, but after her, maybe this one is the most popular, and we are talking about Champ. Do you want to introduce who Champ is?
Okay, so Champ is a lake monster said to live in Lake Champlain, which is a 125-mile or 201-kilometer long body of fresh water shared by New York, Vermont, and Quebec, Canada. So this monster has been seen for ages. Like, pretty much ever since humans have lived around the lake, they have been seeing Champ. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So just to make it clear, today I guess Mika will be on the pro side, arguing that Champ could be real, and I'll be arguing against the existence of Champ. So do you want to make an argument first, or shall I?
Okay. So I just want to again point out the long body of evidence, like how much evidence there is. So The indigenous people of the area have long lived and hunted near Lake Champlain. The Abenaki and the Iroquois. They have their own legends about a large creature inhabiting the lake, which looked like a large horned serpent or a giant snake. And then when people from Europe started settling there, they also started seeing it as well. By 1992, there were 180 sightings. Approximately 600 people had claimed to have seen Champ all over the lake. As of today, as far as I can tell, there are about 300 sightings. Yeah, so that's my first point, is just that there's so much, like, it's been seen consistently for hundreds of years, if not thousands.
Okay. Should I try and go in with a counterpoint?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you know that it's not some big fish like a gar or a sturgeon that also inhabits the lake?
Well, maybe it is. Well, first of all, it could be a really big one. Or there were some sightings that were like much longer than a typical gar or sturgeon, which I think merits it being its own creature because it's way too big.
It is way too big.
So, like, maybe it is a fish, but it's a really big fish. But either way, it's not exactly the same description as a gar or a sturgeon.
Yeah. But I think when it comes to something like a lake monster, there's probably not one explanation. There's probably like multiple. Like maybe some people saw a gar, some people saw a sturgeon, some people saw a floating log, some people saw some other phenomena or something. And because they're primed to think that there's a lake monster in a lake, they attribute it to Champ. And just on the thing of size, I just want to mention that, did you hear about the 1813 sighting by Captain Crumb?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
He said it was 57 meters long.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's probably way too big.
Yeah, I think he made maybe a mistake there. But let's see. More points. This is one of the most famous cryptids in the world. And there are a lot of people who don't deny its existence and in fact make policy and statements confirming its existence. So Champ is protected by law on both sides of the lake. I believe like all places where it is, Canada, New York, and Vermont. So that means it's illegal to hunt and kill Champ. So if there's a law, I mean, that's a bit validating, don't you think?
Not particularly, no.
Another thing is, it's one of the most commonly, I guess, agreed upon cryptids to exist by cryptozoologists. Like,
really?
Well, that's what this one guy said, who has been studying them for his whole life. He's been studying champ for his whole life. And there's even a scientific name for it. Bellua aquatica templeniensis. So, I think that if there's so much overwhelming evidence that even the government has to take a stand, that's something.
That's all interesting, but none of it sounds like evidence to me. I don't know. I mean, the Nepalese government took a stand on the Yeti. Do you think the Yeti is real?
Could be.
Okay, I just don't think that's really evidence, though. That seems like more of a like fail-safe, like, okay, if there happens to be something in here, then don't kill it because it's probably rare. But I don't think that proves that it exists. I mean, that law is probably based off of sightings, and sightings aren't really evidence.
Well, it proves that there's enough evidence to make that law.
I don't know. I think it proves that there's enough public opinion or...
Well, the opinion has to come from somewhere. I'm saying
but
it proves that this is something substantial to look into. It's not just a little gimmick. It's like, it's a big deal.
I feel like it maybe is a bit of a gimmick though, because isn't it like a massive tourist thing now? Like I saw many like shops and restaurants were like named Champ, and there's like boat tours to try and see Champ and stuff.
I guess so, but there are also boat tours to see whales. And are you saying whales are fake?
No, because if you go on many people who go on whale tours actually see and photograph and video whales.
On the boat tour to see Champ. So
okay, well, where are the photos and videos then?
Well, according to the I forgot the name of the people who saw him, but they took a video and they were saying that he was really camera shy and it was hard. He likes to stay just under the water where it's very difficult to photograph. So
I don't know, man. I've seen like 2 or 3 different videos allegedly of Champ. One was an elephant seal. One was a deer swimming across the river, and the other one you couldn't even tell what it was. It could have just been like a fish.
Champ is camera shy. It's going to be difficult to get a picture unless you go in full scuba gear and a waterproof, really good camera.
What is Champ? What animal is he?
Well, no one knows, do they? Here are some theories.
It's real. What is it? I don't know.
Here are some theories. One, which I don't think discounts the cryptid factor, could be a very large fish such as a gar or
Sturgeon.
a sturgeon. Two, some people think it could be a plesiosaur that survived the extinction of all other plesiosaurs.
How did it do that?
Well, it just happened to survive by being very good at living. Thirdly, I did find this intriguing. There were sounds recorded from within the lake by the Fauna Communications Research Institute in 2003 for part of a Discovery Channel program. The sounds were similar to those produced by beluga whales or dolphins, and those do not live in Lake Champlain. So, where did the sound come from? You can conclude that there's something in there making a sound. And I was thinking, and a third theory could be that it is some kind of marine, like, mammal.
I have heard that. I've heard some people say beluga whale, and I've heard some people say surviving basilosaur.
Because there are fossils. They did find a fossil of a beluga whale in a lake before, which proves that they were there before. So maybe they have evolved and they're not exactly the same as beluga whales now. But
wouldn't a beluga whale have to surface a lot for oxygen?
Yeah. So then it comes up and then it goes back down again.
Okay, but wouldn't that make it a little easier to find?
Well, that's how people often find it, was when it comes up. They just can't take a picture because they're all very bad at taking pictures. I'm just saying the third theory could be some sort of marine animal that makes underwater sounds. Marine mammal, I mean.
Maybe.
Anything else?
I guess you're... what else can I say? I just wanted to say earlier, you said the thing about like the natives had a legend and then like Westerners had the same idea or something. But I feel like we have that with a lot of lake monsters, and it's not really the same legend. It's like they sort of converge and people say that they were the same thing even though they weren't. I guess you don't want to talk about the photo from 1977?
We can talk about the photo from 1977.
Well, you didn't bring it up as evidence, so I presume you're just going to say that it's not evidence then?
I never said it wasn't evidence. Go ahead and bring it up.
Well, do you think it's an authentic photo of a creature?
Look, you're always saying dates and things.
The Sandra Mansi photo. It's the most famous photo of Champ, where it looks like a plesiosaur.
So, I saw another video talking about this and how that part of the lake is too shallow to support a creature the size that everyone is saying Champ is. However, the video I saw had a theory that it's not entirely true that this animal would be beached at that depth. Perhaps, like many marine animals, it is sunbathing, it is basking in the sun at a shallow depth with its limbs resting on the bottom. So, I want to say that just because an area is shallow, too shallow for the animal to swim without getting beached, doesn't mean it wouldn't be there of its own volition, trying to warm up.
Yeah, well, I think the photo itself is pretty dubious. So Sandra Mansi took one photo, only one, of this huge creature, and then apparently left. She apparently lost the negative, or that's what she said, but then her husband said no, they burned the negative because it had bad memories. She also didn't... Yeah, apparently they were scared of it or something. She also didn't... She took the photo in 1977, but she didn't show it to anyone until 1981, and she claimed that's because she lost it. Then other stories, they claim that they hung it up in their house for people to look at. She also said she couldn't remember where it was taken at first, even though she was like a native to the area. And there's one of the Champ investigators, so a cryptozoologist who believed in Champ, said she was obsessed with profiting from the photo. There was a quote where she said the skin had bark-like texture. I don't know. I think when you look at it at first, it's like, oh wow, that's a pretty clear and cool looking image. But I think it could very easily just be like a piece of a tree trunk or something.
Yeah, I think that picture in particular could be a log. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in conclusion, I don't know.
It's like, because we're sort of burned out on lake monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're probably going to just try and take a break from lake monsters for a while.
Well, I keep trying to, but this is, I follow the generator.
Yeah. I think next time, even if a lake monster comes up in the generator, we'll just re-choose that option.
Oh, here's some news about Champ, though. There's a feature dramatic film coming out, Lucy and the Lake Monster, about a young orphan girl and her grandfather looking for Champ. It's in post-production now, and it should come out on streaming later this year.
Is Ted Danson in it?
I don't think so.
No, that's a shame.
So maybe if we watch that movie, we'll finally get some answers. Because they filmed in the area, I think.
Maybe.
However, it is a fictional film, so maybe not.
All right. I don't know. I guess we could move on unless you have anything you want to close on.
No, I just think that some evidence is very interesting, especially the sound recordings. Like, I really want to know what made those.
That is the most interesting piece of evidence I've heard, actually.
And it could just be like some weird big fish. But we have to get to the bottom of what's making those sounds. That's what I would say. And if you have any thoughts on this, or if you've seen Champ, please let us know.
Yep. Okay, I guess we'll move on to the next section. This is the Q&A, where you can send in any questions or comments you want us to talk about in the podcast. And you send it into thewildworldpodcast@gmail.com. That's thewildworldpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. So this first question is from Anthony. Hey guys, been loving your episodes. Will we ever see an in the field video of you exploring, etc.? That's his first question.
Okay. Thank you again, Anthony, for sending a question. Some of the videos on the Shorts channel are actual footage that we took. The migrating tarantulas is all footage that I recorded, and the snow monkeys is all stuff you recorded. But otherwise, I don't know, maybe.
Is that what you want?
If we get to travel more and see more animals.
Like, do you actually want us to go out and search for stuff on camera?
I mean, that would sort of be an ideal for certain things, like, I don't know. Wouldn't it be cool if we could, like, look for a cryptid?
This channel isn't all about cryptids, though.
Oh, sorry. Wouldn't it be cool if we looked for... what's your favorite animal? I don't know. A horse?
Let's video us going off to look at some wild horses. That could be cool.
Yeah, that would be fun. I guess it's just sort of difficult to do.
Yeah. Okay, next question. In response to lake monsters...
Which is very appropriate.
In response to lake monsters in general, couldn't most of them be explained by being giant catfish? Or another kind of large fish and being just mistaken in size, since it's pretty difficult to guess size depending on weather, point of view, and other various things. Thanks in advance for answering. Best regards, and keep up the good work.
Yes.
I don't know about catfish. Like, I mean, maybe, but...
Catfish?
I wouldn't go to catfish as the first
maybe, but then... Yeah, well, I feel like sturgeon is the one that always comes up, and then there's also gar.
Yeah, because sturgeon look creepy. Like, their mouths are creepy, their spiny backs are creepy. So I would see that and think, oh, that's a monster, for sure.
I guess catfish could just get, like, so big that if they did, on the rare occasion, come close to the surface, it could be mistaken.
I guess so. Yeah, because they're huge.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very good point.
Okay, here's another question. This was from the channel, a comment on it, right?
Yeah.
What is your favorite animal on land and water and the air, extinct, domesticated, and cryptid? Gladly with reason and no double nomination. Aguja.
Okay, thank you for your question. I think we might take turns just so we don't spend too long on this.
Okay.
Do you want to choose one from the list first or something?
Because I already prepared all my answer.
For all of them?
Yeah. I wrote down, I have lots of thoughts. I thought this was a good question. Not too long at all.
Okay, you can go first. I don't know. Give me a bit of time to think.
Okay, so favorite animal on land would be wild cats or foxes.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite animals in the water, I like dolphins, which is a little basic, but the reason I say them is because they're probably the smartest animals that live in the water, and it's crazy to me how smart they are.
And why the cats and foxes?
Oh, because they're really cute, especially wild cats. Like, people don't really think about them a lot. They mostly think about tigers and leopards, but there are lots and lots of cat species in the wild that aren't thought of as much as they should be. And foxes, because as I already said, I think they're very stylish. I think they're cute. I think they're smart, stuff like that. Okay. In the air, I said albatross because it's really good at flying for a long time and it's very adventurous. Extinct, I said giant moa because they're really big. Or I tried to stick to mostly animals that we made extinct because I don't feel like there's any point in mourning animals that just died of natural causes.
Wow.
Mourning, I said. Like, I feel more emotional about animals that we as humans caused to go extinct, so I tend to like them more. So that would be giant moa or Haast's eagle. Because imagine how crazy it would be, like, if you just saw this eagle and it could pick you up and carry you away. But two animals that break that trend are plesiosaurs and Quetzalcoatlus. Plesiosaurs because they're just so great. Everyone agrees because that's why they're obsessed with lake monsters. They're like so cool and there's not really anything like them today. And Quetzalcoatlus because similar to Haast's eagle, it could just come here and pick me up, and it's way too big, and it's very cool, I think. Yeah. And then cryptid, I chose. Basically, my favorite cryptids have to do with things that give you a sense of deep dread or horror in your everyday life. So, kraken, because that is a risk anytime you're in the water. And shapeshifters.
Not anytime you're in the water. What if you're in a little lake?
I mean, like, the open sea. And I put shapeshifters as well, which are common in many myths of North America, probably possibly across the world.
Yeah.
And people say that you shouldn't talk about them and name them by name because they're going to get you. And so, to be sensitive to that, since I am currently in North America,
yeah.
I'm not going to name them by name, but just shapeshifters. Like, the idea that there are these things that are definitely out to get you. They're vicious, they're evil, fundamentally evil, and they can look like any animal. That is a very interesting cryptid. And the fact that there are so many different, like, groups that have this myth, that's intriguing to me. So, plus there's just the horror. Like, anytime when you're out in the woods all by yourself, out walking on the street all by yourself, they could be there watching you.
Yeah. So don't name them.
What about you?
I guess on land I'd probably say maybe, because I think they look cool. They're interesting. They eat a lot of insects that are annoying, like mosquitoes and flies and roaches.
Frogs eat mosquitoes.
And there's actually
mosquitoes too.
Dogs?
Frogs.
Oh, frogs. Yeah, but I don't know. I like that spiders, like, they don't cause any trouble. They just come into your house.
Frogs don't cause trouble.
Okay, but I don't want a bunch of frogs hopping around in my house, but I don't mind a bunch of spiders.
Oh, I do.
Also, spiders are silent. They don't make any noise.
Frogs make a very nice noise. It's like nighttime music. I love that noise. I really miss living in a place with a bunch of frogs because they would make that noise at night and it would be soothing.
I guess it's nice sometimes.
I'm sorry. Please go on. I'm sorry about frogs. I won't start up about frogs.
You didn't even choose frogs for any of yours.
I know. I just think frogs are better than spiders.
Well, I prefer spiders. And also, there's going to be a little bit of a common thread between my water, air, and land animals, is that I feel like a lot of people unfairly hate spiders or are afraid of them, and they get a bad rap in the media. Similarly, in water, my favorite animals are probably sharks, because I think sharks are just one of those animals that it's like every time I look them up or read about them or watch some documentary, you learn something new. I just think they're very interesting creatures. They also get a bad rap, which they don't deserve. And then in the air, I'd probably say crows and ravens. I just think I like how like intelligent they are. Yeah, I think, and I know a lot of people don't like them because they're just like jet black, but I think they look quite dapper and stylish. And they also, a lot of people hate them as well for no good reason. They're always like, put some bird food out, but make sure the crows don't get it. Crows need to eat as well. Although anyway. Extinct, probably a T-Rex, because it was the biggest carnivorous dinosaur. I just think that's very impressive.
You're not impressed by Quetzalcoatlus?
Domesticated, probably a dog. I am, but I'm more impressed by a T-Rex.
Okay, go on.
If I had to choose, okay. Domesticated, I'd say a dog. I like cats and dogs, but I think I slightly prefer dogs.
I didn't say my answer for domesticated. I say cats. Cats are so cute. Oh, their little ears.
Cats are cute.
Touched their little noses
I like
right above the velvety part of their nose? Oh my goodness. Dogs don't have that. Even though I like dogs too. But
No, yeah. I mean, I guess dogs are just fun and funny to watch. And
cats are funny.
Yeah, I think dogs are, a bit more fun for me because they seem more energetic and playful.
My favorite cats are the ones that are very energetic. So it's just a matter of which cats you've encountered, because my cat, he was insane. Like, he was like a person in a action film, because he could run on the sides of the walls. He was so fast. Because there are some dogs I don't like, some dogs I love, and then there are some cats I don't like as well.
Oh.
Like, especially like the more
I guess it depends on the breed.
ones.
But just in my experience,
have smushed faces I don't really like. Similar to dogs, I don't like the smushed face dogs. So I don't know. It's just, I guess in both cases, dogs and cats, I prefer the energetic ones who are goofy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, I guess. Cryptid, that's very tricky. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is any kind of large undiscovered bipedal ape. So, which are, I mean, they're all on every continent, or there are sightings on them for every continent. So, whichever one, take your pick. I'm not exactly sure why. I guess because it's interesting that a creature so close to a human could remain undiscovered.
Yeah. That sort of reminds me of the book we were listening to. Remember about Alaska?
Yes.
There's like a tribe. It's a legend for the Inupiaq that there's a tribe that was lost, or not lost, but they specifically removed themselves from like civilization, and they went to live in the woods, and they were never affected by colonization. And that sort of reminds me of like Bigfoot stuff, because it wasn't long enough ago for them to be a different species, but it's sort of the idea that there's an uncontacted group that is very similar to us, that we haven't found.
I mean, some people think that the legends of like Bigfoot or Yeti or something are like a surviving population of Neanderthals.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That legend, because we don't know how old the legend is. The legend could be about Neanderthals, like back in the day when we lived with Neanderthals. And so this Native Alaskan legend could be about they encountered this other group who were different from them. They couldn't get along, and so then the other group, the Neanderthals, went off into the woods. They were never seen again. That is actually very interesting. So.
Yeah. And it's a bit far-fetched, but like, I think we said this before, there were some uncontacted tribes that were discovered like in the last 20 years or something in like the Amazon. So maybe in a giant place like the Alaskan wilderness, there's...
To be fair, though, it is easier to live
some group
in the Amazon rainforest than in the Alaskan wilderness. So.
Yeah, that's probably an abundance of resources there. But people and species have survived there. So.
But, I mean, polar bears are having troubles. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, this is a completely different topic. Okay, thank you both for your questions.
All right, now I have some comments. This is the section where I pull some comments from your YouTube channel. Interestingly, well, I don't know. You might just think I'm like a loser for this, but it took me about 2 hours to retrieve this comment because I wanted to find one from really, really deep down. And I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Anyway.
Wow.
I worked hard to find these comments, so please Please kindly guess what video they're from and respond. Okay. First comment. Crocodiles cannot die of old age, LOL. It's impossible. They die from injury or illness. Can you guess what video it's from?
How to Catch a Man-Eater?
Yeah. And what do you think? Is this true?
I don't think that's true. I don't think crocodiles are immortal.
So you don't think that if nothing ever threatened them, that they would live forever?
I don't think so. Don't they lose their teeth as well as they get older?
Okay. Another comment from the same video says, Gustav is big enough to swim the ocean. That's where you could hide something that big. Do you think that's where Gustav is today?
In the ocean?
Where do you think Gustav is? That's my question.
Oh, to be honest, I think he's probably dead by now.
So you don't think he escaped to live in the ocean?
Not really. I don't see why he would have gone to the ocean. If he had like that gigantic lake to live in.
All right.
I don't know. That's my guess.
Here's another comment. Please guess the video. Orca will always be bigger than Sharky.
Is that great white kind of... I can't even remember what it was called. The great white versus the orca, basically, video.
I don't know. It was how big can a great white shark actually get?
Oh, okay.
So what does this mean? Is this true? Is it true that orca will always be bigger than Sharky?
I think the biggest species of orca will always be bigger than a great white shark.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think the biggest ever recorded orca was a male that was like 33 feet long. I can't remember how much he weighed, but a lot.
Okay. So it's not possible for a great white shark to get bigger than an orca then?
I highly doubt it. Not just the length, but like overall mass. Orcas weigh a lot more.
Okay. My second comment that I pulled from this video is, what a bunch of crying Karens. You also You also concerned about the animals on Earth. How many of you have taken 24 hours out of your life to actually love your neighbor? Wake up, little sheep.
Little sheeple. That's what they should have said. This is under how big can a great white get?
Yeah. Apparently, there were lots of people in that video comments saying, like, I feel really bad for the shark or something. Or, like, people are always killing them.
Yeah.
Or...
Oh, yeah, because all of the big ones had been fished, I guess.
Yeah. So then this guy just said that, you know, he said what he said.
I don't know how to respond to that. I guess you should be nice to your neighbor, but can't we be nice to animals too?
All right. Have you ever taken 24 hours out of your life to love your neighbor?
Have I taken 24 hours out? So a full 24 hours?
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I'd like to think I'd been reasonably nice to people at some points. Have you ever taken 24 hours of your life?
No.
Okay.
That's a long time. But maybe consecutively, or not consecutively, maybe. Like, if you add it all up. Although I don't really help my neighbor that much.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe people who aren't my neighbor.
Well, isn't that just like the expression, like, love your neighbor?
Another thing it says is taking 24 hours out of your life, not to help them, but to love them. Like, do you actually have to take time to love someone? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you could just, like, love your friends and family, like, in the background.
Yeah, in the back. Just put it aside.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another comment from another video. Wrong. Try 10,000 years ago. What does this mean? And what video is it from?
I'm so sick of this comment. This is from one of the Megalodon videos. And I address this in every Megalodon video. It's about the youngest megalodon tooth that we found. And basically, in 1875, the HMS Challenger dredged up a megalodon tooth that in the 1950s, a cryptozoologist, Vladimir Chernesky, I think, dated it and said it was about, like 11 to 20,000 years. But then everyone ran with the 10,000 years. But the way he dated it was he measured the layers of manganese dioxide on the tooth, which apparently isn't a good dating method because you don't know when those layers started to accumulate on the tooth. And no one has ever replicated like aging of a tooth and got anywhere close to that date. Like the most recent study in 2019, they collected like a whole bunch of teeth. I think it was Dr. Robert Bosnicker. And he said the youngest ones that they could date were 3.6 million years old. And in 2014, before that they thought it was about 2.5 million years old. But the most recent studies say it's about 3.6 million
years is referring to, they think that is evidence of megalodons as only 10,000 years ago, but you don't agree? Okay. This one, I don't know, it might be a bit dodgy to put on the podcast, so you can like...
Oh, God.
You can cut it out, but I just want to bring it up anyway, because I thought it was very funny. So, this comment is, why do people think Megalodon is alive? It's comment on the same video. Same reason there are people who think that the earth is flat. Being obese equals being healthy. Unicorns do exist. There's an infinite number of genders. Humans never landed on the moon. Wearing a face mask does any good. I just thought, like, this person has so many beliefs.
The thing is, when I started off, I was sort of on the same page, and then they had a lot of interesting thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about this comment?
It's interesting because, like, they don't like people who don't believe in science, clearly, because the whole earth is flat, humans never landed on the moon. But then they also don't believe in science themselves, like the face mask thing and genders, and the obese one is like a bit tricky because I'm not sure that people are saying it's healthy, but people are just saying that you need to treat like people with respect no matter what they look like. Unicorns is like, who's out there really advocating that unicorns exist? I don't know. It's just a mixed bag of opinions, and it's so strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what else to add to that. I guess I agree with what you said. Right. Okay. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like the video and comment and share it around. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.